Hello folks, welcome back to Marvelous Videos, where today we are taking a deep dive into the Transformers universe, property of the American toy company Hasbro and the Japanese toy company Takara Tomy. The Transformers is a huge franchise, making itself known through animation, toys, video games, movies, and comic books. The franchise revolves around the Autobots, who are sentient robots from the planet Cybertron, as they battle it out with their adversaries, the Decepticons, who are also from the same planet, but they aim to conquer the entire universe. The Autobots are led by Optimus Prime, while the Decepticons are led by the tyrannical Megatron. Now, how do Constructicons fit into this universe? Let's try to answer that question. Before we go into our explanation, we have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is a small click for you, but for us it means a lot. Thank you, and let's begin.
Stupid human! We are the Constructicons! We drive ourselves!
The origin story of the Constructicons. The Constructicons first appeared in an episode called Heavy Metal War of the animated series The Transformers, which aired in 1984. The 6 original Constructicons are Hook, Scrapper, Longhaul, Mixmaster, Scavenger, and Bone Crusher. Their origin story is quite conflicting. Initially, they were portrayed to have been older than Cybertron as they were built on Earth. Their lore also had them contributing to the birth of Megatron, but in other versions, they were said to be Autobots who built the beautiful Crystal City. Megatron ambushed them and reprogrammed them to be loyal only to him. Under his command, they lured Omega Supreme, the Caretaker, and the Guardian of the Crystal City away from there and destroyed it. As their name reveals, Constructicons are robots who can disguise themselves as construction vehicles. These engineers of Cybertron, though known for the weapons and buildings they construct, ironically like destroying. Together, 6 of the original Constructicons combine to form the Devastator, a gigantic structure and the first Combiner Transformer. This powerful combination of the Constructicons is stronger than most Combiner Transformers like Menasor, Superion, and Defensor, since the Devastator has 6 parts while the others just have 5. Constructicons are not limited to the original 6, they're just the main ones. Others include, but are not limited to, Gravedigger, who is Bone Crusher's younger brother, Hightower, Steamhammer, Wideload, Buckethead, and Scoop. Not all Constructicons were corrupted by Megatron. Aller and Erector, 2 of the Constructicons successfully escaped and joined the Autobots after the collapse of Crystal City. Following the adventures of the Constructicons, some marvelous adventures. Marvel Comics shows the Constructicons being created by the orders of Shockwave, the commander of the Decepticons. To infuse them with life, Shockwave imprisoned Optimus Prime in Black Rock Aerospace Assembly Plant No. 1 of Earth and tapped into the creation matrix in his mind. Shockwave immediately put them to work as soon as they gained sentience, ordering them to construct a massive communication device that would allow Soundwave to contact their home planet Cybertron. When the Autobots found out about this, they immediately launched an attack against them. The Constructicons joined to become the Devastator to defend the communication device and face their enemies. The newly created Constructicons are not very intelligent, but their strength makes up for it, and they are able to buy enough time for Soundwave to send his message across. The shocked and defeated Autobots initially retreat, but they are curious about this gigantic new robot. Intending to study it further and find out how it was made, they attack the Decepticons once again in their Wyoming base. As the Autobots battle it out with the Devastator, Bumblebee watches from afar, recording the movements of Devastator and studying his structure. He sends the information he has recorded to his leader Optimus Prime, who orders them to retreat. From this information, the Autobots construct the Aerial Bots, a team of combiners who form Superion. So you could say that Constructicons were responsible for the existence of Aerial Bots. The Autobots then teamed up with G.I. Joe and Cobra to attack the Florida base of the Decepticons. Devastator made an appearance once again there, but he was defeated when Superion shot him with his rifle, causing his coupling links to malfunction, which in turn disassembled him into the Constructicons. In the Earth Force comics, the Constructicons had lost their ability to become the Devastator. So the Decepticons had gotten together in the Bahamas to build a Devastator who would not need any combination of robots but could exist independently. Ironhide and Bumblebee sneaked into the island and exploded their site completely, thereby destroying any plans that Decepticons had of recreating the Devastator. In the Marvel storybook Battle for Earth, Megatron had employed Devastator as Phase 2 2 of his plan to conquer Earth. He ordered the Devastator to battle the Autobots while he held millions of people hostage. Initially, Devastator is able to stand his ground against the Autobots, and it starts to seem like he will win, but soon, the Dinobots arrive. In his hubris, Devastator makes fun of the slow pace of the Dinobots until Swoop shoots him at point-blank range, killing 2 of the Constructicons, Hook and Scrapper. The Constructicons dismantle and are no match for the Autobots and Dinobots, who kill them one by one. In the Generation 1 comics published by Dreamwave Productions, Devastator has a different origin. It is shown that Constructicons themselves devise a plan to create Devastator by combining with each other. Unfortunately, they also find out that only their strengths are combined and not their intellect. Devastator is only able to carry out the one thing that they all think together, which usually is to destroy stuff. Megatron is nevertheless impressed by his strength and forbids the Constructicons to further experiment on his combinations in the fear that he might lose his strength. During the Dark Ages, all the bots believed that Megatron and Optimus Prime had died, and the Autobots and Decepticons divided into several different groups. All of them agreed on a crisis intervention accord which banned combiner bots from aligning together. Ratbat, who founded the Ultracons, convinces the Constructicons to side with him when he attacks Tegan Heights and breaks the rule of the accord. The Devastator faces off against the Wreckers. Seeing them disobey the accord, Protectobots align together to perform Defensor. Defensor unfortunately is no match to the behemoth power of Devastator, so he uses his intellect to distract him and plug him into a local power grid. The electric shock from the grid forces Devastator to disassemble. Role in the Beast Wars. During the Great Wars, many Constructicons died, and the remaining Constructicons joined hands with Hot Rod to reconstruct the Builder Society in Cybertron. Hot Rod helps them rebuild the team by appointing Hightower as their leader and directing them to downsize into Micromaster bodies which are fuel efficient. By the time of the Grand Uprising, Cybertron was yet again attacked by numerous adversaries. Buckethead, along with the X-Bots led by Overshoot, gets embroiled in a battle against an alien invasion as they defend Cybertron from the Antares 8. As the war expands to Proximax, the other Constructicons come together to form the Devastator and fight against the GoBot combiner Monstrous. After the battle, they decide to leave the Builder Society and join Stiletto's new team called X-Bots, a group dedicated to protecting innocent beings from the unavoidable violence that rises as a result of the Grand Uprising. When Cybertron is threatened by a looming Vehicon apocalypse, Buckethead takes over leadership of the Constructicons from Hightower. They teamed up with the forces of Cybertron and Nova Chronom as Devastator to fight against Lord Imperius Delirious. Imperius Delirious unleashes a devastating optic ray that kills Bonecrusher, Hightower, and Longhall. After the Vehicon threat passes, Buckethead tries to rebuild the Constructicons and recruits new talent. She finds that Steamhammer, Wideload, and Roadhauler are all capable and worthy of being new members, and together form the new Devastator. Years after the Grand Uprising, Devastator is remembered inaccurately as a hero of the Resistance who is commanded by Leo Convoy. The exploits of Energon Universe. When the Ark crashed on Earth, the Constructicons were one of the Decepticons. They laid in wait for Starscream to get enough resources to revive them, and once they were back to their full power, they laid in wait for the Autobots to claim the Ark. As the unsuspecting Autobots attacked the Ark to take over it, they formed the Devastator under Starscream's order. In the ensuing battle, Optimus Prime sends them flying over a cliff, and when they come, they find Starscream unresponsive as Optimus Prime defeats him. They retreat to a volcano where they find Soundwave. They are later joined by Starscream, but Soundwave demands to be the new leader and challenges him to a fight. Soundwave wins, and the First Order as the leader of the Constructicons is to find the crash site of their most powerful warship, the Nemesis. They find the Nemesis, which is the flagship of the fleet of Decepticons at the bottom of the Pacific Ocean. Along with the Nemesis, they find the sunken ship USS Henry Harrison, whose nuclear reactor they use to charge Nemesis. They make Nemesis their new base, and from there, Soundwave contacts Shockwave on Cybertron. He sends reinforcements through the space bridge that Constructicons operate. The Autobots attack the space bridge, but they're unfortunately outnumbered by the Decepticons. As a last-ditch effort, Elita 1 destroys the space bridge terminal. It doesn't take much time for the Constructicons to repair the bridge, and once it is opened again, they successfully bring Cybertron into the Earth's orbit to harvest our resources. The OG Constructicons, the devastating army. So now that we know about the colorful adventures that the Constructicons have had, let's take a look at their original members. Their leader was Scrapper, whose alt mode is a front-end loader. He forms the right foot of the Devastator, and he can lift about 30 tons of weight. He is an engineer who loves to construct fortresses and energy plants and was the brains behind Crystal City. He has high endurance and can cut through 12-inch thick carbon steel. With his super wing, he can fly up to 60 miles per hour. He compensates for his below-average speed and firepower with his physical strength. The left leg of the Devastator is Mixmaster, a brilliant chemist. He can transform into a mixer and uses his theoretical and practical knowledge of chemistry to whip up any construction material needed. Armed with a laser pistol, Mixmaster also has the powerful Magna laser in his arsenal, which can shoot acids and bursts of 8,000 degrees Celsius heat. There is an optical distortion projector on his head, with the help of which he can disorient anybody's vision. The second in command to Scrapper is Hook, who is also known as Gren in Japan. With his ability to transform into a construction crane, he can lift up to 20 tons. He forms the head and neck of the Devastator and is armed with a laser pistol, a laser cannon, and a rocket launcher. A perfectionist at his job, Hook is a skilled construction engineer with a great eye for precision. He also specializes in transformer physiology and is the doctor of the Decepticons, as he can patch them up whenever they are injured. The left arm of the Devastator is formed by Bone Crusher. If his name hasn't revealed it to you yet, let us tell you that he is a bulldozer. He is arguably the strongest Constructicon, as he has tremendous strength and his thick titanium steel body can resist major attacks. As a bulldozer, he isn't super quick, reaching his maximum speed at 30 miles per hour, but he makes up for it with his warrior skills. He isn't the smartest Constructicon either, as he often gets stuck under his over-eagerness to destroy and destruct, but he is a valuable member nonetheless. The Constructicon who forms the right arm of Devastator is Scavenger, who is desperate for the approval of his teammates. Scavenger can turn into an excavator. Although Scavenger lacks good judgment and intelligence, he is valued in the team for his incredible endurance and his ability to use his shovel and detect metals and fuels underground. Longhaul forms the torso of the Devastator. His alt form is that of a dump truck. With an ability to carry around 90 tons and immense physical strength, his prowess is second in the team. Only Bone Crusher is stronger than Longhaul. Like all other Constructicons, he too carries a laser pistol and has a dual heat-seeking missile launcher in his arsenal. He is a diligent worker who is admired for his lifting abilities in the team.
Constructicons, transform!
The powers and abilities of the Devastator. You know what all the Constructicons can do individually? Imagine all of them together to form the towering Devastator. The word towering might be underplaying his height, which is a whopping 60 feet. With an incredible resistance to Cybertronian firepower, Devastator himself is armed with a Magna laser, which belongs to Mixmaster. In the arms of the Devastator, it takes on devastating proportions, pun intended, as it fires heat rays of up to 10,000 degrees Celsius that could blaze anything in its path for 6 whole miles. His punches can destroy bridges and create deep holes in the earth. His behemoth size means that he can easily stamp down on any normal-sized transformer. The Devastator is not without any weaknesses, as his height is also a disadvantage to it. He can trip easily and is actually very slow. As the earliest combiner transformer, his technology is very old and outdated. His primitive technology unfortunately manifests itself in his dull wit. The Constructicons are prohibited from further experimenting and redesigning Devastator, as they might unknowingly end up making him weaker. Can I see the Constructicons and Devastator in the live-action movies? The simple answer to that question is yes. If you already saw the live-action movies, you knew the answer and were probably disappointed by it. The live-action Transformer movies, directed by Michael Bay, are very controversial, and the representation of the Devastator hasn't escaped from them. The Devastator made his first movie debut in the 2009 movie Transformers: Revenge of the Fallen, which was the second installment in the live-action movie series. Skipjack, Longhaul, Mixmaster, Hightower, Scrap Metal, Scavenger, Scrapper, and Overload are sent to Egypt by Megatron. They all come together to become Devastator, who resembles a massive dog. The Scrapper, Hightower, and Scrap Metal becoming the two arms, Scavenger taking on the role of the torso, Overload becoming the waist, Mixmaster becoming the head and the neck, and the legs being formed by Skipjack and Longhaul. They attack Seymour Simmons, who is with the Autobots Skids and Mudflap. Devastator begins eating anything near it and swallows Mudflap. Mudflap fights his way out of the Devastator by ripping out one of its eyes. As Skids and Mudflap try to distract it from its mission, Megatron appears on the Great Pyramid of Giza and calls out its name. Devastator at once makes his way to the peak of the pyramid and, using the vortex grinder, sucks up the stones that hide the Star Harvester. Seymour calls out a nearby Navy ship for help, which has an experimental weapon developed based on the studies on Megatron. The experimental weapon, a railgun, successfully hits the Devastator. Scrapper is blown away from the rest of the Devastator, and as he falls, he divides into his components. Thus, the human army easily destroys the Devastator. Ardent fans of the Transformers were left understandably and utterly disappointed by this scene. For starters, the Devastator is a powerful Goliath while consisting of just 6 Constructicons, so to have the power of 8 Constructicons would mean that the Devastator was unstoppable, but that wasn't the case. Somehow, this 8-component Devastator was easily defeated by a human army, causing fans to wonder why the creators of the movie decided to undermine his power to such a large extent. His main mission was to kill Skids and Mudflap, and the Devastator was not capable of fulfilling that. Other fans rightfully point at the artistic rendition of the Devastator. His dog-like avatar in the movies is way less intimidating than the 60-foot giant he is shown as in the comics. The comics have also gone to great lengths to ensure that the individual designs of the Constructicons do not clash with one another when they combine to make Devastator. They are also designed primarily in green or purple to maintain uniformity, but in the movies, they are much more colorful, with metallic red, yellow, and gray forming a distasteful pattern. But hey, don't be too disappointed. With many of the movies being rebooted and scenes of the 2018 Bumblebee movie showing some classic designs of our favorite villains, there is much hope yet. Maybe in the upcoming movies we will witness the strongest and most powerful rendition of Devastator yet. Marvelous verdict. Those were the engineers of the Transformers universe, the Constructicons. These witty bots almost have me rooting for them. Maybe we can hope for their reunion with the Autobots, and we don't have to worry about supporting Megatron by liking these nifty builders. What do you want the future of these Constructicons to be? And do you have any predictions for the upcoming Transformer movies? Let us know in the comments, and do not forget to follow us as we bring you more exhilarating information from the Transformers universe. Ciao for now, and if you liked our content, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to us if you haven't already. Have a good one and be safe. Thanks everyone.